American Horror Story.
I've taken the liberty of choosing one, Sister Jude.
It's a terrifying series that breaks all the TV rules,
I don't know what's gotten into you lately, sister, but it's a decided improvement.
reinventing itself each season with a new cast
You two.
and storyline.
Sterilization for the both of you.
For the creators, there's a fine line between what works and what doesn't.
Today, incest was cool, but killing a cat was crazy.
You can chop someone's head off as long as you don't see her nipples while you do it.
It's the bizarre logic that also explains why the people behind TV's creepiest show are the same ones who brought you Glee.
That's crazy.
Let's meet the team behind the groundbreaking series. Outrageous success, horrible mistakes, last-minute changes. Creators of today's most groundbreaking TV shows tell all in the place where it all starts, the writer's room. Joining me in the writer's room, we have Ryan Murphy, Brad Falchuk, Tim Minear, and Lily Rabe. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And obviously, we gave you these pads in case you want to doodle or complain about anything that I talk about.
We could break a new story.
Yeah, we'll break a story by the end of it. We'll have another season. I sort of wanted to get started just, what's it like going from Glee to, to walk from this room, to this writer's room, to that writer's room?
They're right down the hall.
That's what, but physically, and then emotionally, what happens as you go
I've
from
always said
this room
I
to that
feel
room?
like the energy is the same for both shows because they're both heightened. They're they both burn through story very quickly. All the writers' rooms are very sort of close. It feels like going from one group of daffy brothers and sisters to the next. For me,
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone's laughing and having a good time.
we make sure to sort of walk around a little bit or go to another office and sort of change it up for even just 15 minutes.
For those who aren't, for shame, familiar with American Horror Story, just give us sort of an overview of where it came from, between both of you, the idea and the inspiration, any of that stuff.
For a long time, we were both interested in horror stuff. One of my favorite movies is Rosemary's Baby and his is Jaws. So it was a very sort of feminine, masculine, weird thing.
And I think that both of us were turned on by taking the genre, but also something that was more intimate. And so when we talked about this story about infidelity and the story about a marriage breaking up and the true horror of that. And in many ways, I think that was the nugget that really was driving us, was, okay, we know we want the genre, at least for me, but I think that what got us excited was, okay, but what's this story really about? What's the true horror behind the monsters? And it was the monsters at home.
We sit in a living room-like situation. We don't work in a writer's room. We work sort of with a couch, chair, and coffee table, and we literally have our feet up at the coffee table every day. It's a really sort of rewarding show because you spend many, many months talking about ideas and character before you even get into plot.
And it seems that that's an allure, I would imagine, for an actress, actor, your theater background. There's something that draws you to that.
It's been sort of amazing to be a part of a show that has such a sort of ferocious fan base. It's the perfect job.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
Because it's just like a
perfect job.
reset. It's like getting to do a completely new character from season 1 to season 2 and explore those things.
I always want the actors to play the opposite of what they played the season before.
Yeah.
Because I want it to be interesting. So, like, last season, Lily played a very demure nun, innocent, a rube, really, who becomes possessed by Satan. So,
Yeah.
This season,
Just a simple,
it's a very
simple little thing
So
to
this
launch
season,
off
she'll
on.
be the
Yeah.
opposite of that because I want her to be challenged and want to come back every year. So it's a really fun, cool thing to do. And what the actors don't know is sometimes we'll be writing the first 2 episodes and we'll go back and forth about, well, maybe Lily should play this part or that part, or
okay.
Sarah should play that, or we'll mix it up. And usually we have it pretty locked down by episode 3, and then we'll call. We only call when we know exactly who you're playing. And it's sort of, I think, weird and frustrating for some of the actors sometimes because some of them hear very early.
Yeah.
And some of them are waiting to see who they're going to play. But it's a really, really fun,
And we
fun gig.
We can be neurotic, right?
Yeah.
So we worry about that phone call just a little bit.
Just a little.
Jessica's already heard. Jessica already knows what she's playing.
Yeah.
Why haven't I got my call?
But you know what? It kind of becomes part of the adventure of it.
Yeah.
You just, I like that I don't know everything. I know.
Yes. I know you've created a map, but is that specifically lined out as you sort of, do it on a wall? Is it up here? What's the process for all the writers to sort of see from beginning to end?
I think how it starts is usually right when we're sort of finishing one year. I have a really big research library that I love. And I have really bizarre, weird obsessions that I really don't understand why. So I will come in and say, I'm really obsessed about this. And usually it's sort of been percolating with enough months where it's the obsession that's risen to the top.
And with that, and talking about the design, you're starting from here, and you know, in 13 episodes, we're coming to an end. So the anthology aspect of it. Was there something that, going into it, you knew you were drawn to with that sort of structure?
Well, that's how they figured out how to do horror on television. I read this thing, and I was like, okay, this is a great horror story, but you can't do this on television because television requires that you sustain the thing over a couple of seasons, and like, how do you, no one's gonna be afraid when you know that it's television. And so when I met with these guys, I said, I think it's very interesting. I don't know how you sustain this. And Ryan was like, oh, here's how. By the end of episode 13, everyone's dead. You know, and I'm in.
Right.
So the idea that we're doing one story every year means anything can happen, and you can do horror that way. But it really is Ryan Murphy's id as a cheese tray. Like, he sort of wheels it in. And we have to...
After sort of, you know, there's the explosion of me coming in saying I'm obsessed with this, we all work on it together, and it becomes sort of, I wouldn't say a group think, but it doesn't belong to any person, and all views are sort of, you know, we try and have a very balanced point of view.
I think the best writing always has a personal urgency, in that you're always writing about something that is very important to you and you're feeling really powerfully right now. And I don't think you can have any control over that if you're writing well. I think if you're, to me, when I've written a scene and it doesn't work, it's like, well, I haven't tapped into whatever that thing that's urgent for me right now is.
But we also in that room laugh all day long.
Yeah, it's got to be fun.
Really?
That's the key.
And the most hilarious thing today, and I pointed out when we were in the writer's room today, my favorite thing is when Ryan Murphy goes, that's crazy.
Wait, but does that crazy mean that's in?
No. It means what are you thinking?
Really?
We can't
So
do
you
that.
have a limit, Ryan?
He has a tone.
I don't know.
He has a meter of some kind.
Where's the, what is
You
that
don't know.
boundary?
It's like
You just
you don't
never know.
It
You never know.
shifts.
No, it was sort of like today, incest was cool, but killing a cat was crazy.
That makes sense.
That was the line.
We're getting lots of great
And by the
sort
way,
of
it wasn't because it
meters
wasn't
from-
cruelty to animals. He's like, cats bore me.
I didn't say cats.
I wish they'd start dead.
I did not say that.
No, but he was thinking it.
No, but that show is a tone, you know, our show is a tone poem.
Yeah.
It is all incredibly heightened. It is all designed to be, you know, an opera.
What happens when, let's just say, or maybe it never happened to you guys, but something sort of broke, like a story or some, like what happened here and what happened here?
Basically, what happens is we go, we need Ryan now.
Yeah, so then you come in.
No, that's not true.
No, it is true, actually.
Yeah.
Well, you're kind.
It's true.
But the great thing about this staff, too, you know, when Brad and I were putting it together, we wanted people, particularly for that, you know, because you're the first year, I mean, John Landgraf and I and Brad and Dana Walden and Gary Newman knew that it was an anthology, but who knew that it would have any success? So we didn't know. So we really just wanted a staff. We're writing about divorce and a couple falling apart, you know, and miscarriage and stuff like that. We wanted a staff who had lived. It's a great staff because almost everybody in it, in fact, everybody in it, I believe, is over 40 and has sort of lived and had a really long career with a lot of different tentacles. So people, I think, fight for characters. What I find in this writer's room is everybody usually has a group of characters that they love and fight to write and fight to protect. It's always a very pleasant, wonderful experience to show. It's never been difficult, not for 1 minute.
Coming up, the creators of American Horror Story Cross the Line.
The only note I ever got from an actor was Jessica Lange. It was a day where she was like looking at bare asses for like 12 hours. She said, I can't cane any more people.
Welcome back to the Writer's Room with American Horror Story. What is it right now for us, do we think, maybe in society, maybe just America in general, that we're sort of drawn back to horror, maybe over and over again?
Well, I don't know when it went away. I mean, I think horror just
always... it went away. I know by a fact. It called me and said, I'm going to take off for a little bit, and Jim, I'll let you know I'm back.
Well, I mean, for me, I think it's interesting, the last big two explosions of horror, at least in movies, and also in musicals, were times of sort of economic and social unrest. I think if you look at the world in the past 5 years, it makes sense to me why that genre is sort of exploding on television now, because it reflects the time that we're in many ways.
Yeah.
And I think that you need boogeymen to help with your, like this free-floating anxiety. A terrorist going to attack. Am I going to lose my job? Is the stock market going to crash? And so you find a creature to put all that anxiety on, and it makes you feel better. To know it's like, oh, I'm not just scared of losing the house, I'm scared of the guy in the rubber suit.
Yeah.
And so at least for that period of time, you feel a little bit better, even though you're checking under your bed for the guy.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. One of the things I think that is powerful is this embracing the flawed characters. What is that sort of fun as a writer to find those things that balance and give us just enough balance to us to understand them? What's your goal there?
I really like, writing incredibly flawed people. And when you have actors like, Lily and Sarah Paulson and Jessica Lange, they don't want to play normal people. They want to play people with a lot of different layers so that it's like an onion. And they, they want flaws. They want things like that. But I think that is the sort of the golden age of television that was ushered in with The Sopranos, where that's where you begin to root for the Tony Soprano, who was the biggest anti-hero of them all. And I think that really did change television. It really did influence a lot of people of our generation.
This form of telling stories has been going on for quite some time. And so I think it's harder to be surprised and harder to be unpredictable. And the fact is, really good people are less unpredictable. Like, they're pretty much going to do the right thing. And so I think when you're telling stories about flawed characters, they're more likely to do something where you're like, wait a second, what just happened? Like, I can't believe they just did that, because you give them the space to do that because they're a little bit weird, they're a little bit dark, their morality is a little bit skewed, and so you never know. Like, well, he might stab him in the neck with a pencil, or he might him. I don't know what's going to happen right now. But
Either of those, and that's usually your
Can I
two
say that?
choices.
Can I say that?
You can,
Okay.
yeah, you said it now.
But either way, if you don't know, if you don't know
But
what
that's such a great thing if you wrote that into your writer's room. Guys, here's the characters.
We have done that.
It can either be. There's a draw to it, I would imagine, as an actress, to these characters. Was there ever a moment where you're like, you wanted to say, you can be honest now, pull them aside and go, what? What the F?
No.
I don't know. What? Did you
might
ever
say-
have one of those things where you go, this road is, okay, I'll go down this road?
Yeah. I mean, you might go, what the F?
Yeah, we're having fun with
What the
F.
pencil? But I would think that when you sign on to something and you're thinking, I might be playing this part for 6, 7 years, whatever it is, you have to sort of, there's a pacing or a sort of, you have to contain, I would think, something, because you might be in people's living rooms as this woman for 7 years. And so that's that's a marathon.
Yeah.
And with this, you kind of, it blows all that open, so you're never thinking, well, maybe this should hold back, or this should, you can just really go to the outside of whoever it is you're playing, knowing that you're gonna expire.
Yes.
I mean, no actor on the show has ever given that note of this is too much.
No.
I'm always shocked that you guys don't call us up and say, I have to do what? The only note I ever got from an actor was Jessica Lange said, I can't cane any more people.
Now, what was her reason why she couldn't cane anymore? Did she just
It was a day where she was looking at bare asses for 12 hours. She's like, I can't do it anymore. I did it enough. That was the only time. So we did get that.
And then she was like, well, then you'll cane, but they'll wear pants. Is that it won't be the same.
I even gave her the option of, well, what if we do a different kind of caning with horsehair canes? No.
Yeah.
But I think because the material is so heightened and pushed and unique and has its own tone, hopefully, I think it's sort of the actors just jump in and do it because they know that we're writing towards a conclusion. We have mapped this out. We know where we're going, and with that, I don't know. Maybe you feel safer that way, I think.
I think it definitely lets you know that they're only going to be, their experience, everyone's experience of this person is going to be 1 season long. And so, yes, you want to say yes to all of it because, it's like
Because we know what happens if you say no.
you get caned.
Yeah, you'll get caned, exactly.
Plus, when an actor sees another actor gets to, breastfeed off a corpse or something, then they're like, well, where's mine?
Everyone. It's just,
Seriously, it's a little bit like, how come they get to be horribly mutilated?
Every actor has a bucket list, and every one of them
What's that
says,
scene?
to nurse off a bare breast.
There's a lot of nursing.
Coming up, the quirky rules of cable television.
We had to switch that. Was it the dildo to a cucumber or a...
Yes, we did.
The dildo doesn't play, but the cucumber plays.
Exactly.
Welcome back to the Writer's Room with American Horror Story. When you approach all these seasons, or anything in writing in general, pushing those boundaries, like, violence, I'm just curious, on maybe the network side or anyone's side, of how far you chose, or don't even care to worry about the boundaries you're going forth with.
Well, I mean, I have never really had a single argument with a executive from the studio or the network about content ever. The only people who you really ever get into arguments about are standards and practices, and it is never ever about violence, ever. Like you can.
It's always sex.
Always 100% sex.
We have a weird.
It's true.
It's a weird
balance.
No, but like you can chop someone's head off as long as you don't see her nipples while you do it.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Isn't there a
And
rule
I've
at
gotten
how
that
much-
note before.
Really?
Yes, really.
That was the note.
You can chop someone's head off as long as, and then we've had to gauze out the nipples. I mean, we haven't done, it was a male character and it was something else, but yeah, I mean, I'm always amazed at that, and I sort of feel like everyone is sort of nervous about the FCC, and I think that for most of the people who would complain to the FCC, they don't care about violence. They care about sort of puritanical sexual content, and that's what they'll write about.
Yeah, we had to switch that. Was it the dildo to a cucumber or a?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, this is interesting. You had to.
Although, you know.
The dildo doesn't play, but the cucumber plays.
Exactly.
Can't get a dildo at Stop and Shop.
That makes so sense.
It's
so
very
logical.
it's very frustrating and sort of sad to me, and I find that on every show that I have, be it Glee or Horror Story, is you can do whatever you want, usually in a violent capacity, but God help you if you try and tell a truthful sexual story.
Yeah.
Particularly if your female characters aren't sort of Barbie dolls like that. It's always very, very hard for me to take those notes, and I fight them.
Yeah, as well, I think we should. I'm so curious, but continuing that idea of what it is that makes us not able to take sexual innuendo or to give a rating to that if you're in the film thing, that's absolutely puts you in an R, you know? But yet, because the amount of blood you did not show, in other words, it was not a bloody murder, so we can show that. I mean, what is that? I mean, anybody, what do you think that is
No, it's very strange.
up here for us?
Because it is. It's like you look at all those shows that are the SVU kind of shows, and it's like every week you can have a rape. But if you actually told a story about a central story about that girl having a love affair, then you'd have issues.
I mean, the truth of the matter is it's all financial, isn't it? Because I think that it's about the networks and the studios. And look, we have a great relationship with our standards and practices. People, don't get me wrong, they're for the most part very fair. But you know, a complaint to the FCC could lead to a charge by the FCC, which could lead to hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of fines. So nobody wants to pay that, so they're just overly protective. It's just like, well, if you're trying to monitor your children's television, turn off the television.
Yeah.
And I can much more easily explain to my child if they happen to see a sexual image what that's about than if they see a violent image. It's a lot more confusing to say, like, I can't explain to you exactly why people do this to each other.
Yeah.
But put them together, and that's delicious.
And that's okay.
Well, that's what
you know,
American Horror
to me.
Story is. It's a pastiche of sexuality and violence. Every season, it's really either about the oppression or acting out of, or that's why it's a fun show to do.
Also, the tradition of American horror, I don't mean the show, I just mean horror in American literature, is sex and violence. I mean, even if you just go to like the cheesiest sort of like slasher movie, it's always the young nubile couple who are about to consummate their carnal fleshness, who are going to get their throat slit by Jason Voorhees or whatever.
Not there's anything wrong with it. I've seen movies.
Sex means death.
Yes. Yeah. Let's just embrace the idea that it's time. We're going to collectively jump the shark. You know, we're going to collectively go to the place where I don't know if we can ever come back. You know, and just embrace that idea. Is there a place that we could have fun and just say, if you could, in a wish list, go to Crazyland, knowing this is it?
Wow.
And what would you make Lily play? And let's tell her.
Maybe season 10 should be called Mime.
I like it. Killer Mimes.
Killer Mimes.
Killer
Is
Mimes.
there any dialogue at all?
No dialogue.
Oh, that's so good.
We just jumped the shark.
It's like the artist's
You know, it could 100%
enemy
work
mime.
Yeah,
because
good.
Jessica Lange, when she was younger, actually went to mime school.
Are you serious?
100%, which I've always thought was hilarious.
Anyone who goes to mime school or clown school, I want to sit down and talk to them.
know.
I find that
So that's it. Season 10 is just called Mime.
Also, think about this. Think about how much cheaper it'll be to shoot. Because they'll be walking into the wind. They'll be in a box, but we don't have to see the box.
No sound.
Yeah. And like the prep. I mean, come on, Lily. Not a line to learn.
Not a long time.
You just pretend you're touching things that aren't there.
Coming up on The Writer's Room, Season 2, Jitters.
I didn't get much sleep because I didn't know if people would come back.
Welcome back to The Writer's Room and Entertainment Weekly's The Last Word. We are now joined by Lynette Rice from Entertainment Weekly. Welcome, Lynette.
Nice to be here. Did you have any fear at the beginning that once we figured out, we being viewers, we figured out what your conceit was. You're like the Etch-a-Sketch of shows. I mean, after one season, you shake it and you start again. Did you have any fear that viewers wouldn't understand what you're doing, so then we know that by the end of the season, you're going to kill off her, and we kind of already know. Do some of the mystery gone because we know what you're doing?
For me, the mystery was more after that first season when people really loved it so much. Would they come back for the second season? Because I felt that it was our job to make the stories as compelling. And I know the night before, I mean, I didn't get much sleep because I didn't know if people would come back. And then, you know, they did.
You know, my hope is that as they see it, as with anything else, they start to say, oh, it's possible. And I think they really are.
Do you know how long you want to go with this?
I don't see an end to it. Like, I love it. I love the whole process of it. I feel like it has a great renewal to it. I love the dream time of it, you know, when you get ready to sort of come up with a new one. I'm interested in a lot of different things, and I like renewing it every year. I really feel like, for me, it's something that I would love to keep doing as long as they'd let me.
So that answers my question then. Do you know how it's going to end?
We know, because Mime is season 10.
Season 10.
So,
11 episodes.
so we have to get to that. Well, with that, if you want to see more of The Writer's Room, and you better, then go to SundanceChannel.com. Thank you all for being here. I am Jim Rash, and we will see you next time in The Writer's Room. Now we do that thing where we sort of fake talk.
I think it's time for us to get back to work on the story.
We gotta start
You know, but thanks for coming to our writing room.
I was wondering what you're talking about.